touched on this earlier, but has the industry as a whole changed since you started in 1940? Has it changed since you started, like, in circuit boy? Give me a couple of pros, give me a couple of cons. You talked a little bit about how...
Yeah, it has changed enormously in some ways, and in other ways, not a lot. The bottom line is, again, we're still just selling emotion, so that part really hasn't changed. The major change is all, like I mentioned before, all these various modes of distribution. And the third biggest change, I would say, is it's no longer sort of general consumption. It's more focus group, except for big blockbuster Hollywood movies, which still play to a very wide general demographic. Television especially, and music now, is so diversified. Back in those days, there was one chart, the pop charts, and everybody from Frank Sinatra to the Beatles to the Beach Boys to Chuck Berry to Rosemary Clooney were all on the same chart in the same week in the music charts. In television, there were the three big networks, and the primetime shows were a very wide demographic. You had to be able to play. The old joke was, will it play in Peoria? Because being in New York and LA, you can sometimes get misled to think, oh, well, it's funny here, so it'll be funny everywhere, which is not entirely true. Or it's really dramatic here, it'll be dramatic anywhere, and that's not necessarily true. So back in those days, you had to play to a much, much wider audience. Many different age groups, many different cultural and ethnic and economic backgrounds. Well, that has changed enormously, where now a television show can come on that plays to a fraction of what a show would have played to back then, but still work and still be viable and still make money. Because let's face it, it all comes down, if you're in this for the business, it does come down to somebody, hopefully everybody, making some money.
Absolutely. What's your advice on how to handle the infamous paparazzi?
The what?
Paparazzi. How do you handle them?
I mainly ignore them. I don't have that much of a problem, I mean, every once in a